You brought up this whole thing about like the Donovan Mitchell trade and all of that, and people talk about him going to New York. This is what I knew everybody was off about that when they was talking about Cleveland like it was Utah, and I was like, y'all don't understand. Donovan Mitchell has been smiling ear to ear since he landed in Cleveland. And I
Nah,
remember
bro.
like when his first like close game in Cleveland, and this is a dude who's played in playoff games. He was like, wow. Now that felt like the playoffs. And
Nah,
it's
bro.
like this in like what you gotta think too, because Donovan Mitchell, he's younger than both of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah. We got him about a couple
he
years.
was when they like when you go to Cleveland and you are somebody who's like much younger, you're thinking, this is where LeBron had some of his greatest moments.
It is,
Right?
and that's how I
Like
felt too as well. Like, and the crowd atmosphere. The two times I was at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, bro, the crowd atmosphere was amazing. And even I'm sitting there like, if it's good like this, I would have loved to see how it was when Brown was here. Oh my goodness!
oh yeah.
But especially at first stint, oh man. But nah, I really, and I'm not just saying that because I'm on your show or whatever. No, I really like Cleveland and that Rocky Mortgage Fieldhouse. That might be top 10 of my favorite arenas to go to, man. Like
My
it's up
dad
there for real.
went to game 6 of the 2016 finals. And he was like, I stood up for the whole game. There was no choice but to stand up. And I heard nothing. The whole, like, it was so loud, you didn't hear anything the whole game. Like that
Sheesh.
Rocket Mortgage, like I know the more historic, the Boston Garden or whatever, it's like people like to hype up those more like older venues. But
Mm-hmm.
I be telling folk, I'm like, look, man, coming to Cleveland is no joke. Like
No,
it's
it's really
loud.
not, man.
Like
Like
you see it shake up. Like I think it got really loud in our game against Oklahoma City, and you saw it just like Oklahoma City was like, damn, what's going on here? Like,
man, I might, depending on how far the Pistons go, and I'm in Detroit, so that's only what like a 3 hour drive, I want to say, to Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken, because I did drive there the first time I went.
mhm.
Second time I went, I was in the middle of a road trip, so of course I had to fly in. But I'm like, I might, depending on how them tickets looking, I might, try to catch a conference final game or something because I would love to see. And look, I'm experiencing the first time I experienced Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse was what the third, maybe fourth game of the season against the Detroit Pistons, where people still think they about to win no more than 20 games. And that was a competitive game all the way to like, the fourth quarter. And then they like, I think they put like 30 on them in the fourth quarter. But I'm just sitting there like, wow, this is what I wasn't expecting. But to your point about Utah, yeah, next year I'm like, hey, I got, I'm sick right now. I can't go there. No sir.
No,
Mm-mm.
no, Donovan Mitchell has been so happy he's not in Utah anymore ever since he's played so much better basketball than he did in Utah. I'm like, wow, that man really wanted to go. He just didn't want
Man,
to
I
say
don't blame
nothing.
him. I don't
Yeah,
blame him, man.
because he in
I do not
Cleveland,
blame him.
happy as ever. He dating Coco Jones. He living life, dog.
Nah, man, I
Like,
don't blame him, man. I don't blame him. I'm like, man, I see why Donovan Mitchell wanted to sign that extension to say, no, Cleveland, nice, man.
yeah.
That might have been that's the city I was most surprised by.
hmm
And once again, as you can hear it in my voice, man, just thinking about both of my experiences is definitely up there for me.
Oh yeah. Hopefully, you get to catch it in the playoffs because it's something
Hopefully,
else.
man.
Yeah. Don't let them get on
Hopefully.
one of them avalanches though in the playoffs. It's gonna be whoof, whoof. Like that shit happened to Detroit sometime this season where I'm like, oh, they went on a nasty one where they break off that 20. Don't let Ty Jerome start making threes.
Yeah, that was
Like
the first game. That was the first. It was close all the way to the fourth quarter. And next thing I
yeah.
know, I think it was the Garland, falling out of bounds, throwing the ball behind his back, and Donovan Mitchell catching it, going windmills and everything. I was like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
bad. Like, yeah, it was like, nah, man, like, man. But yeah, I like Cleveland. I really do, man.
It's a dope place. Appreciate you, man. Definitely gotta have you on once again. Hopefully we get to talk some playoffs. Look, you want again, please eliminate the Boston Celtics. Do it for me. You know what I mean? Not that I'm afraid to play Boston or anything like that, but
No, but you
yeah,
always
yeah.
want,
Look,
I guess the
I would love to
easier
have the
route.
experience. It's not the it's just I would love to be the more experienced team, in the
I mean,
conference
hey,
finals,
you
right?
can,
Like,
man. But
yeah.
overall, man, I think this playoff series in both conferences, I think it's definitely going to be fun. I might have Cleveland. number two for winning it all. Only because I think OKC is like head and shoulders above everybody. But I really started believing in Cleveland when they came back against Boston in Boston. I think that was that
Yeah.
game Donovan Mitchell dropped. What was it, like 45 or something?
Oh,
And
he
Garland had
averaged
like
like 40
30.
against Boston. Yeah.
Nah, like that game right there, because at first I was like, we'll see how long. I'm like, you're like, oh, like they're gonna drop off eventually. After that Boston game, I say, nah, they're head and shoulders in the East. Oklahoma City is head and shoulders in the West, and I just hope the NBA does not interfere and be like, no, we got to get Boston versus Lakers or whatever the case might be. Nah, because I think the best NBA final series would be OKC in Cleveland, bro. If we
That
get
would
that,
be that'd
man,
be a very stressful but super hoop
I'm
heavy.
gonna enjoy it. I ain't
We
gonna be stressed. I
we
know
go-
y'all gonna be stressed. Look, that's not bad. Look, I'm glad my team suck, man. As a Saints fan, they got to the Super Bowl that one time in 2009, 2010. And the stress I had watching that game, thankfully they pulled it out. But bro, I was like, I'm so happy I have not had to deal with that no more. I think the only closest I got to that was the following year when the Lakers made it to the finals, game 7 against Boston, because I'm a huge Kobe guy. That's my GOAT. But the stress level of that game for the Saints, man, I was like, I don't want to feel that again, man. If they don't win a Super Bowl ever again, I'll be fine. Cause that was, man, and in NFL, it's even worse. Cause you just got one game, that one shot,
Yeah.
that one opportunity.
See, only thing I could think of that's close is Game 7, 2016. And I remember them last, because the game was tied 89-89. It felt like
Man.
for 2 hours.
As a
Nobody
Rockets
was
fan,
scored.
I was like, I'm glad that's not my team. Because during those 2 hours right before, what a block and that shot by Kyrie, bro, it was, bro, that which was one of the greatest games of all times, by the way. Like just
it was
competitive and just
I remember being like deflated game 4. I was like, we really just can't beat Golden, because like at that time they weren't Golden State yet, right? Like they were.
No, they wasn't,
They
but-
won the championship last year. We were like, Kyrie was hurt. That's the only reason y'all won that championship last year. And Kyrie was healthy this series, right? Kevin Love was healthy, so we're like, we should get it. And they went up 3-1, and it was just like, damn, we really ain't gonna win a championship with Bron. Like it's over. They done show. And I remember being deflated. I was so deflated. I watched Game 5 while working the desk shift at my college, and I watched that shit on my phone. I watched Game 5 on my phone because I was like, I don't even need to take the day off, man. I'ma just see what happens, because I think we're not gonna win. I'm not about to watch another trophy ceremony and then not work. And then they won Game 5, and in Game 6 they came out so strong in Game 6.
No, they came out balling in Game 6. When they came out balling in Game
20 points
6,
in the first half. And I was like, oh, if we get to a Game 7, we got something.
bro, it was Game 6, the game where it's one of my favorite plays where I think Kyrie stole it and he like threw the alley to LeBron, and LeBron literally caught it one hand and and I think that was also the game where he had like 45 triple-double and Kyrie had like 41 or something like that. But bro,
No, that was Game 5, the double 40.
Oh, that was Game 5. Yeah, the double 40.
Yeah, on the road. And then Game 6, I don't even think they had to score that much, because like I think Dante Jones got an and one in that game. Right. Mo Williams checked in. Like
Bro, there are certain moments. I always say this, like everybody is great in their own right way. But I feel there are players you never want to poke the bear. When Golden State, when you should already know where I'm going. When Golden State went up 3-1, and they had the situation with him and Draymond and all this other stuff. And I never forget, I was sitting there and I was watching the press conference. I was in my senior year of college, and I remember I used to watch the press conference on NBA TV, because they used to do like the whole media thing. And I remember, Klay Thompson and them was laughing. Klay Thompson had laughed, and he had said something about Bron getting his feelings hurt. Bro, I never forget this. It's probably one of my favorite LeBron
I guess
moments.
he got his feelings hurt.
Yeah, and I remember LeBron was sitting there holding the mic like he does. And they had asked him about that question. He was like, oh, really? That's what they said? And all he did was, when he did that chuckle, I said, Golden State trouble. Because there are certain players you don't piss off. Bron, Jordan, Kobe, and Magic. Those 4, If I'm you're the greatest ever. I'm doing
I,
everything possible to stay on your good side.
I
When
was
LeBron did that chuckle, I was like, Golden State is in trouble. And sure enough, they was.
And I was talking about this earlier this week about because like Pat Bev was like nobody's afraid of Calf. I'm like, see, Pat Bev don't understand that like there's not anybody that like Pat Bev played LeBron. You were afraid to play LeBron, right? Like if you had a team that you wanted to win the chip, you're like, how can we get through here without playing Bron, right? In the same way of all them guys you talked about, right? And Pat played in that era, right? He understood. I don't want to play Bron. I hope that we get out the West and Bron ain't in there, right? So he was talking about the Cavs aren't feared. I'm like, the thing is, nobody's feared like that anymore. Like, is Boston really good? Yeah, but it ain't like, I remember the whole season would just be like, who can take down Bron, right?
Exactly,
in a legitimate way where it's
exactly.
like, okay, what you going to
Exactly.
be able to do in the East, right? Everybody just feared it in that way. And I think that's what the NBA has struggled to adjust to is not knowing how to market their season when that's not the case anymore. And I think Pat Bev got caught in that where I'm like, yeah, but see, that's the thing. Ain't nobody, all the champions that have happened since like that 2018 last KD Warriors ring, right? Was that 2018?
Yeah.
Like ever since the end of the KD Warriors and that Kawhi ring, it's not been teams where everybody's like, oh my God, like watch out for that team. It's just been really good teams that have won. Because it's the kind of era we're in. But yeah, Bron is the last guy who had that about him. Like I always say, this 2018 Cavs playoff run is nothing but, oh my God, bro, that's LeBron. Like that is you could just
that was the same year as
feel
LeBronto, right? That was the same year
that
as
was
LeBronto.
when he just demolished. He won Toronto a championship that year, basically, right? Got everybody out of there, made everybody get traded, right? He won Toronto that championship in 2019 because of how he dismantled them with nobody around him again in 2018.
Nobody.
That's when I realized these dudes in the league grew up watching Bron. And yeah, you know how these old heads talk about Jordan? It's like, man, it's Mike though. That you listen to DeMar DeRozan, right? When he's like, what we supposed to do?
What we supposed to do? That man
like,
said,
and it was like, oh, okay, that's where Bron is. And it's just crazy. Last thing we'll say on this, we got to head out. It's crazy that he exceeded expectations.
Bro, I would say, like I said, Kobe's my GOAT, my all-time GOAT. And I do have Bron number 2 only because, I mean, I literally watch Kobe and Bron, you know? But I do respect, the Jordans and the Magic Johnsons and stuff. But what I tell people, I don't think there's been nobody who has exceeded expectations like LeBron. Like, I to go back, like, just go back and just think of where he was. Like, his very first game, he dropped what, 25, 8, and 9 or something like that against Sacramento, which I was watching half of that game, by the way. I always like to throw that in there. But it's like the things this man has been doing for 22 years, man. And like just thinking like the expectations, like, and just looking at all of the other quote unquote next great who has came after him and how far they have fallen. I mean, you look at Zion in New Orleans, like this man has been a massive disappointment, give or take, fair or not with the injuries or whatever. But I mean, Ben Simmons, it's still early, but hopefully he lives up to it. But Victor Wembanyama, but and I'm not saying that he, has fallen short of expectation. He's still young, and it seemed like he's gonna, thrive. But
there was
even
just he's still young period for LeBron. It was
that's
just
what I'm
like
saying.
It was just right, like
it was just there, and I just think back to, and I was young at the time, but I was still young enough to kind of like figure out what was going on. Just looking at where he was when he first came into the league, and it's like, bro, for like perfect example, I always say this in terms of when I defend LeBron James. I say, think of somebody like Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade is widely considered the 3rd greatest shooting guard of all time. 3-time champion, 1-time final MVP. He has a record for the most blocked for a player 6 foot of under. What is he, like a 13-time All-Star? We just saw like a year or two ago, first ballot Hall of Famer. If you put together a list of the 50 greatest players of all time, his name is definitely going to be in there. Regardless of where you rank him or whatever, think of Dwayne Wade's career and flip and just put LeBron James' name. If LeBron James have that same career Dwayne Wade had, people will look at LeBron and say he's a failure. That's the type of expectations he had coming into the league. So it's like, look at what he had to deal with and look at what he has accomplished, still accomplishing. And it's like, bruh, like, I think it's crazy.
I'm gonna realize, and maybe this is what happened with our generation, with the older generation in Jordan, right? But I think the further away we get from Bron's peak, the more and more people will appreciate it, because the more other people will arrive, and we're like, that ain't Bron though, right? Like, I think that's what's happening with that whole face of the league conversation, right? And I'm like, I don't think there's a face of the league anymore with the internet. Like, everybody is famous to everybody, or, you know, different pockets of people.
True. Yeah, look, like, you know, it's true when, and there's no shot at him, but anytime LaMelo Ball leads everybody in all-star votes, come on now, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's like, it's different fan bases now. It's more segmented than like it is ubiquitous, but still, part of the reason there's no face of the league is because we got used to, for since 1990, basically, until LeBron's last peak, he could win a championship years 2018, I would say. But he won a championship after that, right, in the bubble. But about that period, right, you had one of the greatest players to ever play this game playing basketball, either it be him, Kobe, Mike, right, in their prime from 1990 to 2018. Now, the best player in the league is either Jokic or Jason Tatum. And like, Jokic is probably going to be like a top 15 player of all time, right? Like, I think
the way things are going, it's starting to get really, really scary.
This is getting top 10 territory soon.
Him and Steph are definitely shaking up this top 15 debate for real.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. We're just like witnesses, like, oh, this is a top 3 player of all time. This is a top 15 player of all time. And even though it's a top 15 player of all time, think about that. We're like, it ain't Bron though. Right?
It's still ain't him, man. Like, the last 30 years to catch like the very end of Jordan and see all of Kobe and Bron, bro, I ain't gonna lie, man. I loved it. I loved it.
The NBA fans have been spoiled, didn't realize it, because it's like, hey, man, not every generation has that, right? Like, the NBA hasn't been around that long to where we can point to like different eras that did not have that. But I think we're going to enter, like, nobody, I don't think anybody in the league right now, unless like Luka does it, is going to be like in that conversation in the way that like LeBron and Jordan and Kobe were in that conversation for GOAT.
But that's the thing though, man. Like, I mean, them three, and even if you want to bring it back a little bit farther back, you can add Magic in there as well. But I mean, but them three alone, bro. I mean, you're looking at players that really like just transcended basketball within itself.
Yeah,
like, but no, man, like,
it is a level of greatness that we got accustomed to. That, like,
I think that's definitely what it is. Sure. I know it is for me. I know it is for me. Like,
think about how Steph gets kind of like forgotten about in all of this, right? Like, and it's like,
yeah, but that's the thing though. Like, I forgot who had made, I think it was Shaquille O'Neal, which after that statement he made about JB and Chauncey not knowing the coach, let's not get into that kind of situation. But it's like he was like, bro, just think of everything Steph accomplished. Why is he not like in the debate for the GOAT? And I'm like, he's just not entering a debate for like the greatest point guard of all time. But I feel like once you start like entering that GOAT status, and you think about the 3, potentially 4, give or take, how you feel about Magic and or Kareem, it's like levels to this at this point. And oh my God,
the GOAT conversation, I think this is the unique thing about Kobe, LeBron, and Mike, right? That sets them apart. It don't matter who else on their team. It don't matter who else on their team. Like, automatically, if you have that guy on your team, I don't want to hear about fit, coach. He took David Blatt to an NBA Finals, right?
Yes.
Like, can play, coach, anything. You have Kobe, you have a chance to win it all, right? Mike, you had a chance to win it all as long as you had Mike, right? And then LeBron, I think that's where LeBron is unique. He has demonstrated he can take the least, the furthest. I don't know if that makes him
And
the
he did it
greatest,
multiple times because he did it
but
in '07.
nobody has carried nothing like LeBron James has carried nothing on his back
Yeah, I
in
would
his
say.
career.
I
Like,
would say because
because
the
like I
carry
always
job he
make the
had in
point.
'07 and 18, I think that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I always make the point. Look, man, Kobe was out there scoring 81 with Smush Parker, but they wasn't doing nothing in the playoffs. LeBron got Boobie Gibson to a NBA Finals.
Well, Rudy Gibson used to
Like,
be balling too, man. I would say
yeah,
LeBron is the GOAT for that because, bro, I do want to put together like a top 10 most irrelevant players list that LeBron made famous. Because if you had people like Booby, Matthew Dellavedova, it's
bro.
just like, bro,
Flip
like he
Murray was
made
the
the,
sixth man on a 60-win team.
bro, he
Like,
made these people household names, man. Like, it's
yes,
crazy, man. It's crazy,
yes.
man.
Drew Gooden. Like,
It's
yes,
crazy. It's
yes.
crazy, man. A matter of fact, I don't know why I was working today. I
Bro,
was
wasn't Jordan Clarkson starting for the 2018
Yes, he
Cavs?
was. He was,
Like,
man. And if J.R. Smith doesn't have that boneheaded mistake, they get that dub. But I was sitting here, while I was working today. I was, of course, listening to LeBron's interview on Pat McAfee, and just listening to him talk about his career, bro. It was just one of the moments I was just like, man, it's remarkable. Like I really do think he has the greatest story in sports.
yeah.
Like like story within itself. We could debate, player and all that other stuff another time, but just the appreciation and respect I have for Bron, it's up there for real. And the day he retired, look, I'm not gonna be as sad as I was when Kobe retired, but I'm gonna be pretty close. I'm gonna be pretty close because I don't know about you, but you start remembering, you see all them highlights and it's like, man, I remember where I was when this happened, when
Yeah.
that happened, when
I
that
don't
happened,
think
and it
I'm
take you
gonna be
back to your
able
childhood.
I don't think I'm gonna be able to
Man,
conceive how that's gonna make me feel when LeBron retires. Cause like I've always been a Cavs fan first, more so than like a LeBron fan. So like, I was never like LeBron stan, right? But I
yeah,
was always able to appreciate what LeBron did. And like more, what made me appreciate him more was having to root against him when he went to Miami because I was like, damn, this dude don't lose, right? Like it was just so difficult to root against. Well, it was so difficult to root against him because he was just a demon at that. Like Villain
yeah,
Brown was different.
yeah.
So I have a different level of respect for him, and he comes back. He does the 2016 championship, and then like 2018 was like where I'm like, that's the greatest player I've ever seen in my life. Like I wasn't around for Jordan, but LeBron, I don't think I'll ever see a player better than that.
No, man.
Like
No,
he
man.
the way he used to just dominate, right? Like it was like, oh wow, everything Skip Bayless used to say about him was just a lie, right?
No, definitely.
But yeah, that's with LeBron and like how well his game has aged. I think it'll hit me different because like I don't even realize how much I'm connected to it. And I think a lot of Cavs fans like try to like, because you want your independence from just being the LeBron team, right? And I think that's part of what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
But you know, there's so many great moments that LeBron gave you
No,
as a
no, it
Cavs
is.
fan, and I think you're gonna have to be like reckon with that once LeBron retires because he's like always kind of just been there in the background. He comes to Cleveland. It ain't no thing now because we beat him every time he come here.
Oh yeah,
But like,
definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
it's like it's different. You're used to it, but LeBron's still around. But like when LeBron comes back to get his jersey retired,
Yeah,
that's
that's
when
gonna be
it's
crazy.
gonna make me feel old.
That's gonna be crazy,
I
man.
always say the day I'm washed is the day when LeBron is no longer playing basketball. As long as
Yeah,
LeBron's not playing basketball, I'm not washed. But when
man,
LeBron not out there hooping anymore, I'm like, well, that was the era of our dominance, right?
bro.
Like,
I mean, 22, and he probably got a what? And that's the thing. He probably got what? Let's say 2 more years of playing at this level, and then you got to get to the downfall. So I don't know, man. The LeBron fan inside of me, I just hope he retires at the top of his game. I don't want to see him go out like how Kobe. Basically, the generation I love the most, that 2000 generation with like Cole, Iverson, T
Oh yeah,
Mac,
yeah.
and
We
K.
ain't trying to see
That
LeBron
was
on
the
no fourth
saddest.
team.
That was the saddest downfall because either they jumped from team or injuries just derailed them to the point. It was like, and looking at their stats of like 17, 15, 13, 10 points per game. Like, but I don't want to see that, man. Just be like, you know what? I'm out. I finally defeat Fall the Time. Fall the Time ain't catching me. I'm out. Let's just go out. Like, that's what I'm hoping. But nah, man, it's been, like I said, man, just listening to him talk about his career on Pat McAfee today, it was just like one of the moments where I just stopped and be like, man, this is words can't describe like what this
Imagine,
man has done.
imagine the day you got to explain to a child that's LeBron James.
I know, right?
like,
I know, right? They better not come, man. Look, they
hey,
going on
they
punishment. They if they
like LeBron
disrespect.
James come out there to pad out the NBA, not the NBA MVP, but the Finals MVP award, and somebody's like, "Who is this?" I'm like, "That is LeBron
No, even
James."
worse when they gotta be like, oh, they better than LeBron.
No, no.
I already say when I become a parent, you got one time to say X player is better than Kobe or LeBron, and you're going on punishment.
I think I was talking to my friend Tony, and he was like, he heard somebody say, "Man, if you look at what LeBron's doing right now, it's better than he was with the Heat." And he's like, "Hey, no, I was alive during that. That's not true. like,
Bro.
you don't understand Miami Heat LeBron. The league was different, right? Like, no,
No.
no, no, no,
No, matter
no.
of fact, that
That
was
was
actually
different."
one of the questions I think Pat McAfee had asked him. Like, when did you realize either you was the face of the league, by far the face of the league, or the best player in the league? You know, LeBron gave them little humble answers. And I looked up, I said, I do. 2011. Because when you went to Miami, boy,
Yeah, that was number one story.
especially what was that? The 20, I want to say 13 season where he got robbed from the for defensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That was, and Kobe was still hooping at that time. Even as a diehard Kobe fan, I was at that time. I was like, nah, Brian got it.
Yeah, yeah, that was a different version of him. That was
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Nah.
That version wasn't even fun to watch because it was just like just dominance. He used to do this shit where he would do a Dr. J, but dunk it in the middle of a game. Like he would go baseline, bring the ball around the hoop, and
I
then
know what you're
reverse
talking about.
and then jam it.
I know what you're
And
talking about.
yeah, I was like, the day he didn't do that his second run in Cleveland. Like that's the difference between Miami Heat Bron and Cleveland Bron. Cleveland Bron had a 3-point shot. Miami Heat Bron
Yeah,
did shit like
Cleveland
that.
Brown was more. Brown was more. Second stint, Cleveland Brown was more well rounded in terms
Yeah.
of his all around game and everything. And that's what I love to see. Like just like Kobe and Jordan, like the first couple of years they in the league, they jumping and 360 between the legs over everybody.
Uh-huh.
Then you have that peak. But I love watching the when they peak starts going down, but they're still dominating because they was able to change up and evolve with,
It's
look, I
that.
can't run as fast no more. I can't jump as high no more. And you see just how more fundamental and technical sound they become. That's what the second stint. Like, I think that
It was
second
a more
stint,
smooth game, like
yeah,
it was
exactly.
like, oh, LeBron's hitting dagger threes now. Like I remember when
Exactly.
LeBron's first run, it was like, oh, it's a big deal if he makes a three, right? It's like, oh,
Exactly.
it's gonna be a hard night if he's making those. But it's like now it's like that's just part of LeBron's game. He can go step back on you, right? He can dribble up, get you to the hoop, get a little bit of a handle going. Like it was. I always appreciate the smooth game. Like I like the dudes who hoop at like Ty Jerome's one of them, but like Luka, another .75 dude, or what's his name, Jokic, right? Another guy who just works on his own time, and that's why I really did enjoy that last Cavs era of LeBron, especially 2018 Bron, because that was just like the jumper was so odd, like the turnaround jumper.
Yeah,
Like
it was
out the
crazy. It was
post,
crazy.
it was so automatic, and I'm like, that is like 2018 Bron's the closest. He was always a different player than like Kobe and Jordan was, but that LeBron in 2018 was the closest it ever came to feeling like what I imagined Jordan felt like, which was just
Exactly.
like it don't matter if he wanted, he got it, right?
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was crazy, bro.
But
I mean,
Coty,
if it was crazy, man. It was crazy. Fun times, bro.
fun times, man. Fun times. Appreciate you for jumping on here. Definitely gonna have to just cut this LeBron segment into his own video for sure.
His old video. We got what, 3 shows? We got 3 shows in this one recording, man.
Man, well, I always appreciate having you on, just being able to catch up with you, man. Keep doing great stuff out there. Everybody else, have a good day. Have an even better night. Peace.